I used to go to music festivals and parties all the time when I was younger. I considered myself extremely experienced with psychedelic drugs and spiritual experiences, but my troubles started at a psytrance festival a few months ago. A friend of mine walked up to me, someone I knew always had sheets of Grateful Dead family acid on him. "Hey Johnny, try some of this shit," he said, shoving a 10 strip of LSD in my mouth. From the metallic taste it gave off as soon as it touched my tongue, I knew it was extremely potent. The night passed relatively quickly. Such a high dose of psychedelics kicked in fast, and 15 minutes later, everything was melting and morphing around me. In the darkness outside the main building, I saw kaleidoscopic patterns and fractal visions covering my field of view. I went back into the building later on, still tripping hard, and someone had busted out lines of ketamine. I started sniffing a few lines, and though the LSD overpowered the ketamine, I still felt like I was floating. The disassociated rush of the Special K kicked in within a minute. At this point, the combination of drugs was giving me strong visuals. The stars looked far brighter, the light twisting and melting in circles in the sky. And the trees seemed to be reaching out their branches, waving them like tentacles. The branches lengthened and shortened as the leaves morphed into digital patterns, coming apart and moving together. It was when I found a group of people with laughing gas in the corner of the parking lot that things started to get really strange, however. I gave the main guy, with the tank of nitrous oxide, $20 and told him to keep the balloons coming. As soon as I inhaled the strange taste of the nitrous oxide, the dozens of people around me all stopped what they were doing. They stood perfectly in place, like mannequins. What the fuck is going on? I thought to myself, but I couldn't move my mouth. Time had completely stopped. The combination of LSD, ketamine, and nitrous oxide all at once was able to freeze a moment for what felt like 30 or 40 seconds. But sounds kept coming into my ears. Slowed down like whale calls, but still recognizable as words. I didn't know where they came from. Somehow, I knew they weren't being spoken by the people around me. "Hey, Johnny," the voice said to me, deep and stretched out over many seconds. As the people unfroze from their mannequin-like stances and time started to move forward again, I heard the voice finish speaking. "Times 1. It said in the same deep, slow voice. It almost looked like a VCR had been paused, then started up slowly over a period of a couple seconds. It even had a slightly grainy, otherworldly texture when the moment paused. I had another balloon passed to me a minute later, and deciding for the sake of science to try to replicate the experience, I took the slightly metallic gas back into my lungs. Yet again, time stopped. One woman had done too much nitrous oxide and was in the process of falling over. She hung there like some sort of painting, her feet hanging a few inches off the ground, her body twisted at a 45-degree angle. "He is back," the voice said this time. "Times 2. Running through the crowd of frozen mannequins, I saw a blur of visual trails following behind something huge, but I couldn't make out what could be moving at such a superhuman speed. Before I could take a closer look, the mental dam shattered and time started flowing forwards again. "Shit, she's finished out," one hippie-looking man to my right said, laughing. The woman finished falling, and the echo of the deep ethereal voice disappeared. A few of the partygoers went to check on the woman. She brushed herself off, giving a shy half smile and receding back into her circle of friends. It was on the third balloon that I encountered what was running between these people in the moments of frozen time. As I inhaled the balloon and every person froze, the voice from nowhere instantly started. I could see tiny dust mites in the light, a bat circling in the trees, who was stuck hovering in a way impossible for a bat. A leaf falling from a branch that just stopped along with the wind that blew it. "Last time," it said. "Times 3. This time, I paid as much attention to the movement in the frozen moment of time as I could. Between the bodies of the statuesque partygoers, I saw a monstrous spider creature crawling at a superhuman speed. It faced towards me for a brief period, making eye contact. Its eyes looked pure white, like the cataract-covered eyes of a blind man with a hint of pale blue underneath. It opened its mouth and revealed a mouth full of extremely human-looking teeth. It stopped as soon as it saw me looking at it, opening its maw wide. Hundreds of straight, bleached white teeth extended far back into its mouth. It stood far taller than the people around it, its crooked legs writhing, flexing, and extending as its central body shimmered in the blackness. A dark red hourglass ran along its back. It crouched down low, hissing at me. "You're not supposed to be here," it said in the same low, slowed-down voice as before. Its teeth chattered as it spoke, its mouth opening and closing in a chittering way that didn't match the words that came out of its insectile-like throat. It turned away from me, sinking its jaws into a man in a tie-dyed shirt that was frozen in a chair. It bit at his throat, tearing away a chunk of meat. A spray of bright red blood ejected in slow motion from his torn flesh as time returned to normal. With a blur, the spider monster fled into the forest beyond, the still leaves of the trees looking to shatter like ice when it ran through. As everyone started moving again, the screaming started. The people sitting closest to the man were showered in droplets of blood. He sucked in a deep breath, gargling and choking on his own blood before falling backwards in his lawn chair. His eyes stared blankly up at the stars. Within seconds, his breathing stopped. The crowd dispersed, scattering away from the sudden, horrid scene of gore in the midst of their party. I had no idea what to do. Out of a deep, uneasy curiosity, I started walking in the direction I had seen the creature go when time had stopped. Some people were still shrieking in terror, while others had taken the man out of the chair and were trying to stop the bleeding and provided CPR. One woman was on a phone, calling an ambulance, one that I knew in my heart would be far too late to do anything to help that man. I ran into the woods, seeing the silhouette of the monstrous spider creature disappearing far ahead of me. A couple 100 feet into the forest, it swerved towards a cluster of ancient oak trees. The roots separated and it squeezed its body into the newly formed opening, disappearing before my eyes. I went forward, looking at the spot where the creature had gone underground, but now it was just solid tree roots and brush. From behind me, I heard a slight rustling. Turning around, I saw a pure black humanoid shape without any features standing there, like a black hole in the dark scenery of the woods. "You aren't supposed to be here," it said in a low, growling voice. "What was that?" I asked, my heart thudding in my chest. "There are things between the moments you experience that you aren't able to comprehend," it said. "Leave and never return to the stream of frozen time, or it will come for you too. Times 4 will be your last moment in this world." I did as he said, feeling his eyeless gaze following me out as a flood of police and ambulance sirens filled the parking lot. I left immediately, never looking back. I didn't tell anyone there what had happened. When I hear of people going mysteriously missing without bodies ever being recovered, or freak accidents that can't be explained, I wonder how many of them are due to these creatures between the moments of time we experience, eating the bodies or ripping out their throats. I wonder if even more horrifying creatures exist between moments of time that would drive me insane simply to look at them. Later on the next month, I saw my neighbor working in his yard. I still thought back to the man who had gotten his throat ripped out by the monstrous spider creature. "Hey, Mr. Taylor," I said. He nodded at me. Behind him, I saw the same dark silhouette of a being I had seen in the forest. It wasn't faced towards me this time, however. He was trimming his bushes with a hedge trimmer. Out of nowhere, I saw a skeletal hand reach out and grab his ankle. He screamed as he was pulled under the ground, an opening like the one I had seen in the forest being created as he disappeared from view. I ran over, frantically trying to help him, but he was gone. The humanoid shape only looked at me.
"You have seen too much,"
it said to me coldly.
"You shouldn't be able to see us. We will come for you next."